Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy back with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say in every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
Yes, we have Saree McIntosh with us today. She is a singer, songwriter, dancer, and actress. She is also an accomplished pianist. Recently, she released the songs Money on Your Deathbed featuring Richie Sambora, where she collaborated with her brother Taylor, who was also on our show. Her breakdancing crew, Break Ninjaz, won USA Battle of the Year and competed on NBC's World of Dance.
And we're excited to have her on. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction.
That's our pleasure.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about beforehand, with our shows just starting back up, how did COVID affect what you do? And what have you done to maneuver through this craziness?
So, surprisingly, COVID has kind of been a blessing for me and my family, which I know that sounds strange to say, but if COVID never happened, I don't think we would have gotten into music so much and focused on it.
Right.
As far as everything being closed down, we haven't been able to do any live performances, which has been tough since, new artists, like a way to get out their music and a way to bring out their name is live performances. But, we've been working, we've been trying to do social media and then just writing a lot of music and releasing it. So yeah, COVID has been good at the same time, but a little hard.
Yeah.
And we get that because, COVID kind of exploded this show because, we started the show January 2020, a couple months before COVID.
We did.
And our original plan was 100 interviews first year. We thought
that would be a lot, for the first year.
And then COVID happens. And I remember telling Sandy, this may be our time to shine because everything's being shut down. Artists are going to need a place to talk. They're not working right now. We're going to give them that platform. And we did over 300 interviews last year because of that. And there's no reason why we should be where we are. We even have this Friday, we've got big Christian artist Matthew West coming on.
Yes.
And we've had Sarah Evans and we've had Randy Travis. And
we have one of the Backstreet Boys, Brian Luttrell.
And all of this would be happening if COVID never happened.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, a lot of people are home, so they have more time to watch shows, that type of stuff. That's awesome.
Exactly. So what are some hobbies you like to do outside of music?
Well, okay, I do a lot of things. So I recently started playing tennis. My dad played tennis in high school, and then my mom got really into it. So about, I'd say 5 months ago, we just started going out. There's a local park near us, and they have tennis courts. So we went there, and I just fallen in love with it. It's I'm a very competitive person, so tennis is a really good sport for me because you just hit the ball, and it's a very with my brother. I play with my brother a lot. And that's the way I can get my anger out of him without.
It's let me hit him, and he won't know that it was on purpose.
Yeah. Have you guys ever played spike ball before? Okay, so about 2 Christmases ago, it was kind of blowing up. It was kind of in the beginning, and I went to Kohl's with my mom, and we were getting Christmas presents. And I saw spike ball. I was like, "Oh, we should get this for my brother." So we got it, and we tried to play with just the 4 of us. And since we've never played before, it was really lame. So we never really enjoyed it. But then my brother had a graduation party, and a lot of people, my other family members, came and they played spike ball a lot. And we played it with them, and it's so much fun.
Oh, wow.
I was so shocked because I don't know, it's kind of like volleyball, but on a little ground net.
Love it.
Love that.
So what would you say is something quirky about you?
Quirky? I have a high voice. I don't know if you've noticed. I can do this weird voice. I call it my Larry voice. I go into this voice. I found out I could do this when I used to share a room with my brother. And, you're delirious at night. And we were just laughing. And I was laughing so much that I went down to this really deep register. And I figured out I could go oh my gosh, I can do this. So I guess that's a little quirky.
Oh, very cool.
So it probably works great for your acting career too.
Yeah, if I ever have to do a voiceover with like or something.
Awesome.
Love that. Now, a lot of people, they would ask, when did you know you wanted to do music? But I like to go deeper than that. When did it click that this could be a career move for you?
So music has always been a part of my life. My dad's a musician.
Oh, wow.
And I'd say when it actually clicked that I loved it and I could actually do it, I was probably in first grade.
Wow.
I was going to school and I had a crush on this one boy, and they had a talent show. So I loved Taylor Swift at the time, and she wrote a ton of songs about like love and relationships or whatever. And plus Adele, I listened to a lot of Adele, so I was kind of like a hopeless romantic in my head at first grade. So I remember there was a talent show, and I wanted to sing at it. So I asked my dad, and he like helped me out with it. So I went up to my crush, and I was like, "Hey, you going to the talent show?" And he was like, "Maybe, I don't know." I was like, "Well, I'm singing." So in my mind, I thought he would like fall in love with me once I started singing. So I got up on stage and I started doing it, and I looked out in the crowd. He wasn't there. But I just realized how much I loved performing, and I love singing. And then I was surprised by my teachers coming up to me after, and then like my other classmates saying like, "Oh, you did really good." So
Awesome.
that was like one of the first moments that I really felt.
But basically, when you got on that stage, you got the stage bug.
Yeah.
Now, what's it like kind of sharing the spotlight with your brother, since y'all do a lot of things together, including singing and all that?
It's really great to have the same passion as my brother. It helps me love it more, and it helps me learn more because he is older than me and he has been writing songs longer than me. And he teaches me a lot about it. And plus, he's like kind of a support system because, you know, this industry isn't easy at all.
Yeah.
A lot of rejection. But to have someone kind of on the same path as you, that's not only my best friend, but my family too. It's just, it makes me feel better, and it makes it funner for me too.
And he's able to look out for you because, again, there's so much in the entertainment industry that you know, people get taken advantage of all the time. And you know, having an older brother that does this with you, he can spot things that maybe you don't spot.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of the rejection and all that, you know, a lot of people, they see the glory of like a Blake Shelton, of a Miranda and all that, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within the entertainment music world. And I always want to talk about that because I think that people miss this side of it. They think, oh, it's all glamorous. You jump in, you just get on stage. And me and you both know it's way more than that. So let's talk about some of the sacrifices and struggles you've had to go through so far.
Yeah, so I'm 15 and I started homeschooling in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
That's when I started. I'm also an actress, so I wanted to spend more time on that and dance too. So I started homeschooling. And it's kind of just pushing away your social life. I haven't had that school experience, which has been good for me in a lot of ways, but then again, I'm not around kids my own age. I'm mostly around adults, and I'm like 99% of the time focusing on music, acting, dancing, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think it's affected me that much. I still have like some great friends. It's just like not going to parties or whatever, not meeting, like having like high school relationships, which, you know, I'd rather do music over that. But
good for you.
Just simple things like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's like we homeschool our 9-year-old.
We do.
And we've been put down so much for it through the years. And it was funny because we've been a 24/7 couple for 18 years of our marriage. You know, we don't live the average marriage life. Yeah. And so we've been put down for that, put down for homeschooling. And then when COVID happens, you know, all these people that put us down, Sandy and I were like, So all these people that said we should live like society now has to live like us.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, because when it comes to schooling,
around,
schooling went to the home front. He didn't have to change nothing because we were already homeschooling.
Yeah, he was used to it. Like a lot of kids had that weird transition period where they were like, "What is this? What am I doing?" And they had really hard time in school. But we were already homeschooled, so
Yeah, I've got some friends that this actually showed them that they could homeschool their kids. So they actually unenrolled them from school now and put them in homeschool, and they're going to do that all the time from this point.
Yeah. A lot of my friends that used to go to public school, once COVID hit, they realized that homeschool is easier for them, and they like it. So they actually started homeschooling too.
And that's what I wish people would understand. It's not a one size fits all. Some kids would thrive better on a homeschool environment. Some kids would thrive better at a classroom environment. Different kids are different.
You have to be really self-motivated to be homeschooled. I'm an online school, so do you actually teach your kid? Like, are you actually?
Yes.
Yeah, I do teaching. We have a lot of different programs that we use, different online things, one for math, one for another subject, and so on. He's doing really well.
It's still some of the services that we go through. They still teaching through that, but she kind of helps guide him.
And help when
that's great. So. He's still young too. I started when I was a little bit older, so my mom wasn't as hands-on, but that's awesome because he has you to help him through it and support him.
Now, granted, we're thinking about when he gets 5th grade or so, probably going on getting him in private school then.
Yeah.
Based on the situation that we're at, we want to build that foundation first.
Yeah, I think school is good for building some social skills and kind of learning more life skills. But then again, homeschool is good just to focus on what you want to learn and spend your time doing what you want to do.
Now that we talked a little bit about the sacrifice side a little bit, let's talk about the other side, the glory side. What are a few moments where you're like, wow, I got to do that?
Oh, okay. So one of them is when I went to Battle of the Year in Europe. And I wasn't homeschooled, or if I wasn't in the whole breakdancing scene, I would have never gotten to go to Paris, Rome, all of those crazy places. And I was 12 at the time. That's unheard of to travel across the world and compete at this huge competition at a young age. So that was one of, that was a moment where I kind of was taken back, and I was like, wow, I'm so lucky that I get to do this. And then when I booked the role for the Frost Sisters on The Gifted, I was just taken back because I was going to be on a Marvel TV show. I grew up watching Marvel, and I love the comic books. So that was a moment where I was like, wow, I could actually do this. It was kind of like a little shine of light. I was like,
how was the audition for you for that?
Okay, so this is kind of an interesting story. My dad and my whole family, we were taking a vacation down on the Russian River. And we were in the middle of the drive. My mom gets an email from my agency, and they're like, hey, we have this audition for Saree. It's due in 2 days. She has to learn it and then film it. So I learned it on the way there, and immediately I love emotional, dramatic scenes, and this audition was definitely that. They didn't really give me much insight on what it was. I had no idea that it was for a Marvel show, I just knew it was something for Fox, and I knew it was a TV series. And so later on, we get to the place we were staying, and it was 12 at night, or 12 in the morning. So it was so late. I was really tired, but we were like, we got to film it. So we makeshift setting a recording thing. We put a blanket in the back, and we did it. And my dad helped me with it. And I just remember him being like, "Nope, I don't believe you. Keep going, keep doing it. I don't believe you." Again. So we did a lot of takes, but we ended up getting a good one. And then we sent it off. And we enjoyed our vacation. And 3 days later, we get a call saying that I'm on Strong Avail. So I booked it off of one audition, which was absolutely insane. And we were waiting, And then I got a call and they're like, hey, you did it. And then I found out I was playing triplets. I found out that it's for a Marvel thing. And it was insane.
Your different voices work perfect for that. Triplets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come in handy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, with your name, it's almost like a star name.
It is.
Because, you know, a lot of the stars, they change their name to kind of fit.
Be memorable.
To be memorable.
Stand out.
Your name stands out.
Yes.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
So as you know, a lot of people, they see you as the artist, the actress, and all that, but they don't see the teams behind the people. And in our opinion, the teams never get the love they deserve. So if you want to take a few moments, tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Okay, so a huge part of my writing is my dad. He helps me a lot with it. He's an amazing songwriter, and we'll sit down and write songs together, and he's taught me a lot, and he's so talented. He's written some lines on my song that I'm like, how did you come up with that? Like, what? And then also my producer, Tommy Marolda, he's incredible. He's worked with people like Bon Jovi, The Killers, Imagine Dragons.
Oh, wow.
He can take a song, like I can go in there and just play him a simple chord and melody and lyrics, and he can turn it into a huge monster of a song. He just adds such amazing things, and he has such good ideas. And he also sometimes sings on some of my songs. So if you listen closely, you can hear some of his harmonies in there. Then, you know, my brother occasionally will come in, and if he has an idea for me, he'll be like, hey, I have this idea for a song. And then I'll look into it, and we write a song together. Like I think a month ago, my mom had her birthday. So something as we do for gifts is we will write songs for people. So we just got together, wrote a song for my mom, and then we.
So I got a 50th birthday coming up in August.
Oh yes.
My mom just turned 50 too. That was really good. Yeah.
Yes.
And then my mom. So it's a very family. Or like everything that I do, my family really supports me and is really like hands-on with it. My mom used to be a Denver Broncos cheerleader and a Nuggets cheerleader.
Oh wow!
She's kind of taught me a lot of the dance things, and she's very good at meeting people and talking to people and just making connections. So she found us Tommy. She found us our agency, everything. She's really helped me a lot, and my brother too.
That is awesome. So tell us, you know, there's probably 1,000 of these stories, but tell us a parent story where they went above and beyond for your career. And you're like, wow, they get it. This is what I'm passionate about.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I would say we used to live in Colorado, and we moved to Vegas because that's how much they believed that we could do this. Oh, wow. It's pretty crazy to think that my mom grew up in Colorado. She'd never lived anywhere else. And I mean, I have my other brothers and sisters living in Colorado too. Of course, they're older now and they're adults, but when me and my brother were serious about music, they just fully supported us and said, well, we're moving, we're packing up and going to Las Vegas. We didn't go to California just because it's so busy, and we still wanted to have some normalcy in our life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Close enough. So, yeah, I'd say that was like one of the biggest moments where I was like, wow, they really support me. And
that's like with us, you know, although, you know, we've always wanted to move to Florida, but we feel like, and we love Nashville. We've been there once now.
Oh, yes.
And we love Nashville. It's got a great foundation for this show, we believe. But you know, our kids, we don't know what they will be one day down the road. So we're like, you know what? We believe Nashville will be a great foundational place for them. So that's so because of them, a little bit is why we're probably planning on moving to Nashville.
Yeah, I love Nashville. It's so beautiful there.
And they're calling it kind of like baby LA now because a lot of film is starting to move towards Nashville. So really, you have it all in Nashville now, just like you do in LA.
Yeah, a lot of people from LA are moving to Nashville now too, which I think is interesting.
And the funny thing about that is what's happening too is causing the prices to skyrocket because people from LA and New York, or a lot of people are moving to Nashville because they are tired of the big city. but they still want to be in a city that's happening. And Nashville seems to be it. And they're all flocking there with their extra money. And people are asking $400,000 for their home. And they're like, I'll give you $500,000 cash if we can do it now. So all these people are in droves coming into Nashville with all this money. And now prices are going through. I mean, I think we read an article that Nashville is the second fastest growth when it comes to how quick homes sell. That you put it on the market and usually same day it's sold.
That's crazy. That's what happened to Colorado when all of a sudden, 5 years ago, a ton of people started moving there, and the traffic got horrible. Kind of more of a chill state, but now it's busy.
Yeah, that's one thing I won't like about Nashville. They do have a road problem. They do have bad traffic, and with more people still coming, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, maybe they can get caught up on the roads. I don't know, but hopefully one day they'll do all that. But either way, that's where we're planning on moving the next year.
Yeah,
so.
That's going to be awesome.
So speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, our little 9-year-old.
Yes.
That we Sandy's going to go get him. That's a few questions. And our little 2-year-old, that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too.
Oh, that'll be so awesome. It'll be like a little family show.
Because we really hope that the Chris and Sandy show becomes one of them shows that's here 30, 40, 50 years from now. It may change a little bit, but we want it to be a show that, lasts a time.
Chris and Sandy and daughter and son show.
It's funny as we joke with our little one, says, you know what, you can do the Chris and Caitlin show because he's Christopher and our little daughter's Caitlin. So when she can do the Chris and Caitlin show.
Hi.
Hi, Siri. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Does ice cream count?
Yeah.
I love ice cream. My parents make fun of me because I could eat a full meal and be stuffed, but I'll always find room for ice cream.
And what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Pizza? I love pizza. Pizza's great. All the dairy foods are so good. I'm lactose intolerant though, so not on my stomach, but it tastes good.
So what's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Okay. Lately, I've gotten into a lot of anime. Do you know what anime is? It's
no.
It's kind of like cartoons, but more real life, and they're also Japanese. Okay, so they're in the Japanese language. And I say my favorite show right now is Attack on Titan. I love that show.
Mine is SpongeBob.
SpongeBob? I love SpongeBob. I actually have a SpongeBob PJ shirt. I was just wearing it.
His favorite's Patrick.
Patrick? Yes, Patrick's so funny.
And what's been cool about our show is because we bring him on, he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows. So we've been bringing a lot of people from those shows that he watches onto our show.
That must be so exciting.
Yes.
And I'm like, I wish they had this. My parents would have had this when I was young,
All types of cool people.
Next.
Okay, so what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie? It's such a hard question. Okay. I really love... Okay, it's tied. Okay, there's so many. Okay, I'll give you my top 3. Okay, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The first time I watched it, I actually didn't like it. I was like, it was kind of slow. I didn't like it. But then I watched it again, and I realized, oh my gosh, this movie is amazing. And the movie Yesterday, which I think came out in 2019, it's about the Beatles. Do you know who the Beatles are?
No.
So they were this huge rock group, massive, and they were so famous. And they got the best movie ever. And then my third, which I doubt you would know this, but you might know this, Chris. It's Wayne's World. You know that movie? It's so funny. I watch it at least once a week.
I'm surprised, knowing what you've already told us so far, that one of them wasn't The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook? Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Because that's Sandy's favorite.
Yes.
The ending, I can't with the ending. It just tears me apart.
Yes.
My mom loves it though, and she'll turn it on, and I'll be like, I can't watch this. I'm gonna cry.
Bye, thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Good job. But yeah, he loves his part and all that. And he's been on almost every episode and all that. So it's been fun to kind of combine the family. And yeah, I know y'all get that because that's what y'all do.
Yeah, you're training him for when he takes the big spot.
That's it. Absolutely.
So I see you're a big K-pop fan.
Oh yes, I am.
Tell us about that.
It's okay. So, this is kind of like a new thing for me, I guess. I of course I knew who BTS was. That was like the one K-pop group that I knew. That's like one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world.
Yeah,
but my dad actually lived in Korea for 2 years.
Oh wow!
And when he was like 19 and 20, and he kind of built a music career out there, which is interesting. He like knew the language fluently, and he had a partner that he like made songs with and he sang with. And he did a foreigners contest there, and he kind of blew up after that.
Oh,
wow.
So I kind of grew up around like the Korean language, I guess, because my dad, I could hear him he doesn't talk it that much because my mom doesn't speak Korean, but he would talk to like some of his friends or people that we would just meet on the street that would be Korean. He would talk to them, so I always thought it was really cool. And then about 6 months ago, I started getting into K-pop. I found the band the group Stray Kids. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're a really good K-pop group.
Oh, wow.
And I started getting more interested into it. And I was like, hey, Dad, can you show me old videos of you singing in Korean? And he was like, oh, yeah, sure, if I can find them. So he ended up finding them, and I watched it, and it kind of was one of those like aha moments where I was like, that is so cool. I want to do that too. So I asked him, I was like, hey, can you teach me one of the songs you sang? And he did. And surprisingly, I picked it up pretty well. So he just kept teaching me songs. And then I was like, can you teach me some Korean? And he was teaching me. And then he was kind of like, well, do you want to take real Korean lessons? I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. So for 5 months now, I've been taking Korean lessons twice a week. And then I've just been learning more about K-pop and finding more music, and I just love it.
That is awesome. So cool. And though Chris is probably going to be upset with me because I forgot to let him answer the very last question. So his movie is the Minions movie.
Despicable Me. Yeah, yes, all of those. Yeah,
he's probably going to mention that to me later, but I didn't get that to say mine.
Yes.
I love the Minions movies.
So if you could co-write with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, okay. Freddie Mercury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love him so much. He was also one of the reasons why I fell in love with songwriting. I watched, like a lot of young people started finding out Queen from the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Yeah.
Because, of course, like I knew who Queen was. I heard their songs are legendary. They're played on the radio every single day. But I didn't really know that much about them until I saw the movie, and I was really intrigued by it. And then my dad actually had a book on Freddie, so he let me read it, and I read it. And I actually realized that the movie wasn't that, like, accurate.
Oh, wow.
That was interesting. But I just kept learning more about them, and I just loved how Freddie really had a passion, and he went for it, and he had a lot of people doubting him. But where he is now, like he's a legend. So
They're talking about doubting. I remember there was a tweet that Luke Combs did a few years ago where he thanked all the executives that he pitched his songs to. And they said that they'll never work. And all 6 went number 1.
Wow. That's so cool. You know John Mayer?
Oh, yes.
So his biggest album, he showed it to his record label, and they were like, we don't hear a hit on this album. Like, not one.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then it ended up, I think it was Continuum, which was the album that they, and it ended up being like one of the biggest albums ever. Hit all of his songs were in the charts, and it's just crazy.
It's like we seen Toby Keith being interviewed a while back, a couple years ago, when he was at his prime. And I remember they were asking him about different songs, and he said that even though he was already a big artist, he said he had to fight for every one of them songs. They kept saying they're not going to work. He says, "No, I know my audience; they're going to work," and they did. But still, it was like he, even as big as he was during that time, he still had to fight. That's what amazes me when you talk to different people and you see interviews and all that. That you could be, your Blake Sheltons, but the label still wants to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You really have to be like strong-willed and know what you want, because like people try to deter you and change your mind.
Yeah, because that's the scary part with the whole industry is it's like they want a cookie cutter person, and you come in this and you're like, I am not that. And it's like, okay, you can be a part of the label or not, and that'll build your career, but now you're not who you are.
Like, didn't that happen to Christina Aguilera? She hated
Lady Gaga too, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she finally started writing music that she loved, and like she blew up.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, it's like and part of me wonders if a lot of the drugs and alcohol that's within the entertainment industry could have to do with stuff like that, where the label makes them be who the label wants them to be, and they know that's not them, but they're out there singing it and they're not real, and so in order to mask that, they have to go to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, that could be, because that'd be horrible just to wake up every day and pretend to be someone that you're not.
It would.
It would. I mean, that was like one of the best advice I remember getting when we first launched this show. I remember asking a friend of mine from Nashville what advice he would give us. And this is perfect advice for really anybody, but especially in entertainment. And I remember him saying, whatever you do, be and stay authentic. He says, you could tell every Bobby Bones joke. You could tell every Ty Bentley joke, because he knew I looked up to them. He says, and you might even be good at it and create an audience. He says, but the day will come when authentic Chris comes out. And when that day comes, you're going to lose every bit of your audience, because they were never attracted to you. They were attracted to fake you. So if you grow, if you just become you from the beginning, you may grow slower, but you'll gain the right audience in the meantime.
Yeah, plus I feel like you can kind of see through the act most of the time. You can tell if they're not being fully authentic. So yeah, I agree with you. It's important to be that.
She said Demi Lovato went through that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember, did you guys watch like all of her YouTube documentaries?
We haven't yet.
You should watch it. It's very interesting.
Oh, wow. So let's say that you have, this could be 1,000 answers to this question. But what's a song that you've heard on the radio or heard out there that you wish you wrote?
I wish I wrote? Wow, there's so many. I would say, honestly, like Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't even understand how Freddie wrote that at all.
Oh, yes.
I still try to, like, every time I listen to it, I try to break down, like, I wonder what he was thinking, or I wonder what he means by this. But I have, like, my own interpretations, but I'm just really curious what he was actually thinking about it. And it's just like, such a packed song. There's everything in it, and you really push the boundaries with everything. So if I wrote a song, I would write Bohemian Rhapsody, because that's just incredible.
Yeah.
So back in 2015, we interviewed Kelsey Ballerini before she became big. And one of the questions I asked her was where she wanted to be in 5 years. And I always like to tell this story before I ask the guest that same question, because the answer she gave us back then was exactly how she's living right now. I mean, Kelsey knew where she was going.
Oh, she had it all planned out.
She had it planned out, mapped out. So knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'll be 20. That's kind of crazy. But I see myself along with some of the biggest artists. I see myself, having my own world tour and being able to collaborate with people like Adele or like, those huge, talented musicians. I see myself being able to like share my music with everybody and actually have like more of the platform to do that. So yeah, that's why I see myself.
I love it. So let's look 15 years down the road. And let's say that your success on a grand scale, whatever that looks like for you, you've made it. If the person you are today could meet her, your future successful self, what would you want to remind her?
I would want to remind her like where she came from and that you still got to stay humble. I feel like a lot of people, when they get famous, they kind of lose reality a little bit, even though the reality is completely different than how it would have been when before they were famous. I think you just have to stay grounded and have to realize that this is kind of a privilege to be able to do what you do. And I have to stay grateful.
Yeah. And how would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it yet?
Okay. I would describe it as pop, but with meaningful lyrics. I feel like a lot of pop songs, they kind of just repeat the same words a lot. And it's mostly just like to have a good vibe. And my songs still have a good vibe, but if you actually listen to it, it has a deep story to it. So that's how I describe music.
I love that. And what would you like your legacy to be as an artist? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
I would say I want to be known as a person who just went for it and just left all of the doubts behind and just followed their dream and did it.
And you got to be that way because you don't want to live in regret. Especially the young, we just started this show and people told us we couldn't do it. People told us it'd never work. People told us all kinds of stuff. And then being, that I was in my upper 40s when we launched the show, it was like people were like, "Oh, you're too old to start this a hosting career and all that."
Yeah, and we had no experience.
No experience in radio, no background, no backing from like a bigger company, nothing. We just us two, and
grassroots.
And we're just like, you know what? We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah,
and
nice. I'm go for it.
and now it's like
just went for it.
At night we pinch ourselves. Can you believe we had so and so on? Can you believe we? It's been a crazy venture. But again, like we all talked about at the beginning of the show, we owe COVID to a lot of this growth because it slowed everybody down so they can get ready for our show.
Yeah. The best things happen when you're out of your comfort zone and where you're taking a leap of faith. So.
Oh, so true.
Yeah, because I've always lived my life in that way where I never wanted to have regrets. I mean, no matter who you are, you're going to have some regrets, but I never wanted to live in that. And the worst thing that you could do if you're a creative person is to look back and wonder what if. I would rather go for it and just fail miserably than to just never do nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what my family's mentality has been. Because, my brother graduated, and it's been kind of hard for him when he's tell people that he's not going to college, because a lot of people look down on that, and they think, well, why aren't you like, you should always have a backup plan.
Yeah.
It's like, why have a backup plan when you're just going for what you really want? Because if you're
all he's doing is what a lot of the big art. I mean, when you watch the interviews of the bigger artists, there's always that one question that every host asks to the big artists. They always ask, what would you be doing if music didn't work out? And 95% of the time, the artist has the same answer. I would just be a broke musician because I had no plan B. Because a plan B creates the atmosphere to where, okay, I can fall back on that. So your plan B ultimately becomes your plan A when you struggle.
Because if you have to be completely focused on plan A, else, I feel like there's always kind of some back thoughts about whatever. You have to really just go for it.
And see, that's how I want when little Chris gets older and he finishes high school. I kind of actually would hope that if he does want to go to college, that he will take a gap year to find himself in that year.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be one of
what he really
I actually
wants to
don't
do.
want him to go to college right off. I'd rather him take that gap year, figure out what it is that he wants. Then if it takes college, great. If it doesn't take college, I'm okay with that. Just go for your dreams.
I think it's like so interesting the way our life works. We decide what we want to do forever at such a young age. And, everything changes as you get older. So I think that's a really good idea to let him figure out who he is and what he wants to do.
Yeah, because like you said, I've got friends of mine that's been in their career, say 15 plus years, and they're miserable. And you sit down and you ask them, well, hey, you've got this great lifestyle. You got this great family. You got this great career. And then a lot of times they'll stop you and say, well, that's the problem, the career. And you're like, how can the career be the problem? You went to 6-8 years of school for this.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I didn't do it for me. It says I had other passions, but my guidance counselor, my parents, my friends, whoever said this is the better path for me. And although it makes them money and decent money, they're miserable because they did not follow that path that they always felt in their heart.
Yeah, that's why just doing what we're doing.
Exactly. That's like with us, wherever this takes us, we're letting it take us.
Yeah, we're following the path.
You never know. Like something my mom always tells me is like tomorrow is never promised.
Mm-hmm.
So just be happy with what you're doing today. And, we'll see, you can just see where life takes you because everything can change in like a blink of an eye.
I love that. So as we come to a close here, let's say you had a friend of yours that you heard him or her sing and they've got something special. As Simon Cowell would say, they have that it factor. And let's say they've played only 40 or 50 shows. They're still getting their feet wet on the performance side, but they've gotten on stage, like you said, they got that stage bug where they look over the crowd's roaring for them, and they know they're in the right place. And they come to you and they say, I know I'm supposed to do this with the rest of my life. What advice would you give that specific person to kind of help guide them the next few years?
I would say do it. I would say be present in what you're doing and listen to yourself. If something doesn't feel right, if you feel like you're kind of falling off the path, then check in with yourself, see where you're going. Focus on music itself, the art form, and just enjoy what you're doing. Because I feel like when you're happy and you're having fun, I think that's when the best things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So keep going for it. Don't let other people's opinions drag you down or change your mind in any way because, everyone has an opinion. Everyone's going to think. Some people might think you're great. Other people might think you suck. You just have to stay strong in who you are and know that you have this dream and just keep going.
And that made me think of one last thing. As see, when we were younger, they had bullies back then, but you didn't have social media where people could be trolls without you even knowing who they are. Mm-hmm. Now you got so many trolls out there that they feel like their job is to tell you how bad you are.
Yeah.
How do you handle that side of it being a teenager?
So personally, thankfully, I haven't gotten a lot of hate, but people are so much braver when they're behind the screen and they straight up face to face. So, people can say some really nasty stuff. But in the end, you just got to remember that they're probably projecting something that they're going through onto you.
Yeah.
And if you know who you are and if you're like a steady, good in yourself person, then it shouldn't bother you as much. Of course, it's not nice to hear mean things said to you. Right. But you just have to kind of have tough skin and let it roll off your back.
Because hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
And like you said, tough skin. If you're getting an entertainment, you better have tough skin. There's just
it's a tough world.
You have to. You get tough skin.
That's true. So as we close here, tell everybody how they can find you.
Hello, guys. You can find me on Instagram at Saree McIntosh. You can find me on Spotify at Saree McIntosh. All of the music streaming platforms, it's just my name. And I have a YouTube channel. It's called Say Hi Saree. So you can also see more of me on there.
I love that. And we definitely have
Yeah.
enjoyed having you on the
We
show.
did. This was
Guys, I
fun.
had so much fun. Thank you guys.
And we look forward to having you back down the road.
We do.
Yes, that'd be so much fun.
All right. You have
All
a great
right.
day.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. Bye, guys.